what if the ultimate secret to weight loss isn't about, eating less, but rather engineering a breakfast so structurally dense that your body literally just forgets to be hungry?
It sounds kind of impossible, but biology is weird like that.
It really is. Well, welcome to today's deep dive. I am just thrilled you are joining us. Yes, you listening right now, because today's mission is it's highly unique.
Very unique.
Yeah, we are unpacking a single hyper-focused document titled Overnight Oats for Weight Loss. And I mean, I have to be completely honest with you up front. When I first opened this source text, I genuinely thought I was looking at like a broken piece of code or some kind of weird SEO glitch.
I had the exact same reaction. It is a rather bizarre piece of formatting to encounter initially. I mean, it doesn't look like an article at all.
Bizarre is putting it mildly. I mean, instead of a standard article with paragraphs or headers or even just a recipe with steps, the entire document consists of just a single statement repeated relentlessly.
Over and over.
Exactly. Line after line, page after page. It just reads, and I'll quote it directly here: overnight oats with oats, chia seeds, berries, yogurt, and nuts are a fiber-rich breakfast that supports fullness and healthy eating.
And that's it.
Is the entire document. Just that one sentence copied and pasted literally dozens of times. So, okay, let's unpack this, because while it looks completely absurd on the surface, my instinct says we really shouldn't dismiss it.
No, definitely don't dismiss it.
Right, has to be a reason this specific combination is being hammered home like this intense nutritional mantra.
You're entirely right not to dismiss it.
Yeah.
I mean, while the document itself reads like a broken algorithm, if we look past that glitchy repetition and actually analyze the claim being made, we find something remarkably scientifically sound.
Really? Just from that one sentence?
Absolutely. It strips away all the noise, the dietary trends, all the unnecessary variations, and it forces us to confront a highly specific biological formula. The author isn't giving us options here. They're giving us a blueprint.
A completely inflexible blueprint at that. I mean, the document demands an exact, unchanging 5-ingredient list, right? Oats, chia seeds, berries, yogurt, and nuts.
Nothing else.
Yeah, it never suggests like a drizzle of honey or swapping in flax seeds or adding a scoop of protein powder. It's a totally closed system. It kind of reminds me of, when a band forms a supergroup?
Oh, yeah.
Like every single member is a rock star doing heavy lifting, or maybe like a perfectly curated minimalist capsule wardrobe. There are no filler items. Every component is explicitly chosen for a reason.
I like that capsule wardrobe analogy, and what's fascinating here is the sheer rigidity of the text. It doesn't offer substitutions because it definitively locks in oats, chia seeds, berries, yogurt, and nuts as the foundational baseline for the meal.
But this immediately makes me skeptical, right? Like, why these... oats are essentially just carbohydrates.
Right.
So if the title of the document is about weight loss, aren't we just starting the day with a massive bowl of carbs?
Well, that is the common assumption, but it fundamentally misunderstands what kind of carbohydrate an oat actually is. We aren't talking about, refined white flour here.
Okay, so what makes oats so different then?
Oats are heavily composed of a specific type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan. And when beta-glucan interacts with the water or liquid in your digestive tract, it doesn't just dissolve like sugar would.
What does it do?
It undergoes a profound physical transformation. It creates this highly viscous, really thick gel.
Oh, wow. So it's essentially turning into like a biological spackle in your stomach.
Biological spackle. That is a very accurate way to visualize it, actually. This thick gel literally coats the stomach and the intestinal lining.
And what's the benefit of having a spackled stomach?
What this does is significantly slow down gastric emptying. The food literally takes longer to leave your stomach. And furthermore, this gel barrier traps the carbohydrates inside it.
Meaning your body has to work harder to get to them?
Exactly. Your digestive enzymes have to work much harder and take much longer to break them down into glucose. So instead of a massive spike in blood sugar, which, triggers that insulin crash and makes you hungry an hour later, you get this slow, steady trickle of energy.
Okay, I can see how the oats lay the groundwork. That makes sense. But then the text insists we add chia seeds. If the oats are already making a thick gel, what on earth is the chia seed doing?
Well, if the oats are the spackle, think of the chia seeds as the sponge.
The sponge?
Yeah. Chia seeds have this fascinating outer layer that's incredibly rich in a substance called mucilage. When they are soaked overnight, which, is the implied method right there in the title, chia seeds can absorb up to 12 times their weight in liquid.
Wait, 12 times. But if they are absorbing all that water and expanding, doesn't that just mean I'm going to feel super bloated?
Common fear.
Yeah, because feeling bloated is definitely not the same as feeling fueled for the day.
Right, but that's a crucial distinction we need to make. Bloating is typically caused by trapped gas from rapid fermentation in the gut, usually from, like, highly fermentable sugars.
Ah, okay.
What chia seeds provide is volumetric distension without the gas. Your stomach is a muscular organ, and it's lined with these things called stretch receptors.
Stretch receptors, got it.
So when those chia seeds expand, they physically push against the walls of the stomach. Those stretch receptors fire signals straight up the vagus nerve, directly to the hypothalamus in your brain.
Essentially shouting, we are at maximum capacity down here. Stop seeking food.
Precisely. It's a mechanical trigger telling your brain you are completely full.
Wow, okay. So what does this all mean for the overall bowl? The text obsessively links these ingredients to being, quote, fiber-rich and supporting fullness. So the oats slow down the exit, and the chia seeds physically expand to trigger the nervous system.
Exactly. It's a powerful 1-2 punch.
It really is. But is it just about not feeling your stomach rumble, or is the document pointing to a more strategic kind of satiety? Like, what about the berries? I feel like most people just throw fruit in for flavor or sweetness.
Sure. Yeah.
Why does this glitchy text demand berries specifically, rather than, say, a banana or a chopped apple?
It all comes down to the fiber to sugar ratio and the cellular structure of the fruit itself. A banana is a fantastic food, don't get me wrong, but it is relatively high in readily available starch and sugar and lower in fiber.
Compared to berries, you mean?
Right. Berries like raspberries, blackberries, or blueberries, they have some of the highest fiber contents relative to their carbohydrate load in the entire plant kingdom.
Is that because of all those tiny little seeds and the tough skins?
Exactly that. Your body has to work incredibly hard to break down those fiber skins. Plus, berries are packed with polyphenols.
Which are antioxidants, right?
Yes, they are micronutrients that, in addition to being antioxidants, have actually been shown to further inhibit the transport of glucose right across the intestinal wall.
Oh, I had no idea they did that.
Yeah. So not only are you getting minimal sugar to begin with, but the sugar you do get is being actively blocked from rushing into your bloodstream all at once.
Okay, the picture is really starting to come together here. We have the oats forming the gel, the chia seeds expanding like a sponge, and the berries providing this low sugar, high effort roughage.
A very solid foundation.
Right, but the text doesn't stop there. It insists on yogurt and nuts. Now I really have to push back a bit. We're talking about weight loss, and nuts are incredibly calorie dense.
They definitely are.
And yogurt, especially if we assume a thick Greek yogurt to go with all this, that adds a significant amount of calories too. Aren't we just building like a 600 or 700 calorie bomb to start the day?
It sounds counterintuitive, I know.
Yeah. How does eating a massive calorie-dense bowl lead to weight loss?
It is a great question. And honestly, it gets at the very heart of why most modern diets fail. We have been conditioned to look almost exclusively at caloric density, while completely ignoring the satiety index of our food.
The satiety index, so how full it actually makes you feel.
Exactly. Yes, a bowl with yogurt and nuts is calorically dense. But what does that specific calorie profile actually do biologically?
Well, yogurt has a lot of protein.
Right. Yogurt provides a massive dose of protein, specifically casein protein, assuming it's dairy-based. Casein acts very uniquely. It coagulates when it hits stomach acid, forming a solid curd.
A solid curd? That sounds kind of heavy.
It is. And that curd takes hours to digest, releasing a slow, steady drip of amino acids into your system.
So it's essentially reinforcing the roadblock that the oats and the chia seeds already built.
Precisely. You're layering these slow digesting elements, and then you add the nuts. Nuts are primarily healthy fats, and fat is the absolute slowest macronutrient for your body to digest.
Okay, that makes sense. Slowing things down even more.
But more importantly, the presence of fat and protein in the digestive tract triggers the release of specific satiety hormones in the gut, namely cholecystokinin or CCK and GLP-1.
Wait, GLP-1, as in the exact same hormone pathway that all those highly publicized modern weight loss drugs target.
The very same pathway, yes. Your body naturally produces GLP-1 when you eat structurally complex proteins and fats. It slows down your digestion even further and sends a powerful signal to your brain that you are profoundly satiated.
Wow.
And we really can't forget the mechanical act of eating the nuts either. The mastication factor, the physical requirement to chew those hard nuts repeatedly, actually sends early satiety signals to the brain before the food even reaches your stomach.
Okay, this is absolutely fascinating. I was thinking about how to visualize this for you listening at home. I originally thought of this 5-ingredient list as, a curated capsule wardrobe, just 5 high-quality pieces working well together.
A good analogy, but maybe a bit simple now.
Yeah, way too passive. Based on the biology you just walked through, this isn't just a wardrobe. This is a highly engineered biological time-release capsule.
I think time-release capsule is a much more accurate metaphor.
Think about it. The chia seeds provide the immediate physical expansion. The oats create the viscous barrier to slow everything down.
Right.
The berries provide the complex cellular matrix demanding digestive energy. The yogurt curds provide a slow drip protein source. And the nuts trigger the hormonal release of GLP-1.
It's brilliant.
Every single ingredient is explicitly chosen to operate an entirely different mechanism of digestion.
What's fascinating here is that the text doesn't even try to explain any of that science. It inextricably links the ingredients to their physical function with just 3 simple words. Supports fullness and.
It just states it as a fact.
Exactly. It forces our conversation naturally from what is in the bowl to how it actually operates in the body. The document isn't just describing a meal, you see. It is describing an engineered physical outcome.
Which brings up my next big question. The text obsessively links these ingredients to being a fiber-rich breakfast that supports fullness. But what kind of fullness are we actually talking about here?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because, I mean, I can eat a massive head of iceberg lettuce, or I can chug 3 giant glasses of water, and my stomach will physically feel entirely full. But I guarantee you I'll be ravenous and looking for a donut, like 45 minutes later.
And that right there is the fatal flaw of so many diet strategies that rely on volume eating without providing structural integrity.
Volume eating, just filling up on low-calorie stuff.
Right. Drinking water or eating plain lettuce provides what we call mechanical fullness. You trigger the stretch receptors in the stomach, which we discussed earlier with the chia seeds.
Yeah, the vagus nerve signaling.
Exactly. But mechanical fullness is really only phase 1. If your meal doesn't also trigger phase 2, which is chemical fullness, the whole illusion falls apart very quickly.
Chemical fullness being the hormone release you just mentioned, the GLP-1 and CCK.
Yes. Because when water or simple carbohydrates leave the stomach rapidly, the stretch receptors deactivate. And because there was no complex protein or fat to trigger those satiety hormones, your stomach immediately secretes a different hormone called ghrelin.
Ah.
Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. It travels to your brain and creates a demanding, almost aggressive sensation of hunger.
We've all felt that mid-morning crash.
We certainly have. By combining the volumetric stretch of the chia and oats with the hormonal triggers of the yogurt and nuts, this breakfast effectively neutralizes ghrelin for hours. Like I said, it is describing an engineered physiological state.
So you aren't just having breakfast. You are actively intervening in your endocrine system. You are essentially programming your morning metabolism to run a highly specific fullness protocol.
Precisely. Which actually makes me want to pause for a second and ask you, the listener, directly. What stands out to you in all this? Have you ever thought about engineering your breakfast specifically for its biological utility and fullness, rather than just, what sounds tasty or what you can grab in 3 seconds on your way out the door?
It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? I mean, we usually wake up dealing with decision fatigue, just asking ourselves, what do I want to eat?
What do I have time for?
Exactly. We rarely ask, what precise combination of ingredients will structurally guarantee that my hunger hormones remain dormant until 2 p.m.?
And by relentlessly repeating this one exact sentence over and over, the document is essentially trying to overwrite that morning decision fatigue. It's offering a permanent, unvarying solution.
Just bypassing the choice entirely.
Right. You don't need to think about it anymore. The biology has been solved for you. Just execute the formula.
I love that. The biology has been solved. Which actually leads us to the most surprising part of this entire deep dive.
The overarching goal.
Yeah. We've talked deeply about the immediate physical sensation of fullness, but we need to look at the overarching goal stated in the document's title. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because there is a massive, glaring paradox in the source material.
I think I know what you're referring to. The disconnect between the headline and the actual mantra.
Exactly. The title of the document is explicitly framed as Overnight Oats for Weight Loss. It puts weight loss right at the very top. It is the hook that gets you reading. But then you look at the body text, the sentence that is repeated 70, 80 times, and the phrase weight loss completely disappears.
It vanishes completely from the operational text.
Not once does the mantra say, eat this to lose weight, or burn fat, or cut calories.
It replaces it entirely with the phrase, supports fullness and healthy eating.
Yes. And it feels totally contradictory to everything we've been taught. I mean, we are so conditioned by modern diet culture to equate weight loss with emptiness.
Shrinking portions, ignoring hunger pangs.
Exactly. Restriction and counting every single calorie. But this text doesn't say eat this small, sad portion to lose weight. It essentially says eat this massive, structurally dense, fiber-rich combination so you can be completely full. I was staring at the page trying to figure out how a mandate for absolute fullness results in weight loss.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture and to those biological mechanisms we just unpacked, it reveals probably the most profound insight of the entire document.
How?
The text is establishing an implied causal relationship through its very structure. By placing weight loss in the title, it establishes the ultimate objective. But by completely omitting it from the daily repeated mantra, the author is making a radical argument about how human behavior and biology actually achieve that objective.
Okay, walk us through that logic. Because
Yeah.
traditionally, if the goal is weight loss, the mantra is always, eat less, move more.
Right, but traditional diets fail because they try to fight biology. If you restrict calories aggressively and walk around hungry all day, your body senses a famine.
It thinks you're starving.
Exactly. It spikes your ghrelin levels, it lowers your metabolic rate to conserve energy, and it hyper-focuses your brain on finding high-calorie, sugary foods.
Which is why you can't stop thinking about donuts when you're on a diet.
Precisely. Willpower is finite, but biology is relentless. You might stick to a tiny restrictive breakfast on Monday and Tuesday, but by Thursday afternoon, your hormonal drive to eat will absolutely overpower your willpower, leading to a massive binge.
The classic 3 p.m. crash where you suddenly eat like an entire sleeve of cookies without even realizing it.
We've all been there. But the structure of this document argues that weight loss isn't a product of restriction, starvation, or obsessing over the scale. Instead, the text argues that achieving absolute fullness and practicing healthy eating in the morning are the primary vehicles that support the weight loss mentioned in the title.
So the document is essentially telling you, hey, stop obsessing over the weight loss itself. Let go of the restriction. Focus entirely on the blueprint.
Focus on building that time-release capsule.
Right. Focus on creating that fiber-rich engine and achieving profound hormonal satiety.
Yes. If you relentlessly repeat the action of healthy eating and prioritize genuine biological fullness, just as the document relentlessly repeats its core sentence, the weight loss mentioned in the title will naturally follow as a byproduct.
Because you aren't fighting your body anymore.
Exactly. If you are profoundly satiated by oats, chia, berries, yogurt, and nuts at 8 a.m., you are hormonally shielded from that 3 p.m. cookie binge. You naturally, effortlessly consume fewer calories over the course of the day, not because you are white-knuckling it with willpower, but because your body literally doesn't want the food.
That is incredibly powerful. It completely flips the traditional script. The text is literally training your brain through repetition. It's saying, acknowledge the goal in the title. Sure, now forget about it. Let's get to work on the actual daily practice.
And the daily practice isn't deprivation.
No, it is total abundance. It is about a rich, dense, fiber-packed reality where you are completely satisfied.
It redefines the entire concept of a weight loss regimen. It proves that the path to losing weight doesn't have to be paved with hunger. In fact, it insists that you must be full.
But it must be a very specific, strategic, fiber-rich fullness.
Derived exclusively from this 5-ingredient biological mechanism exactly.
I just love how we've taken what looked like a completely glitched out, repetitive web page and unpacked an entire scientifically rigorous philosophy of morning nutrition. I mean, by understanding the biology of beta-glucans, the stretch receptors triggered by the chia seeds, and that hormonal GLP-1 response to protein and fats, it all makes perfect sense.
The text didn't need to rely on complex scientific jargon to make its point to the average reader.
It really didn't.
It just stated the formula, laid it out clearly, and relied on the psychological weight of repetition to make it a habit. A habit so deeply ingrained that you don't even have to think about the science behind it. You just absorb its utility.
Well, this has been an absolutely fascinating journey into what is undoubtedly the most hyper-focused document we have ever analyzed on this show.
Oh, without a doubt.
So to summarize our deep dive today for you listening,
No.
the source material may literally be just one single sentence repeated continuously, but once you understand the biology beneath it, it leaves you with an undeniable, crystal clear takeaway.
A biological reality devoid of any ambiguity.
Exactly. The takeaway is that combining this exact lineup, oats, chia seeds, berries, yogurt, and nuts, creates a specialized fiber-rich engine. And that engine does a very specific job. It utilizes both mechanical distension and chemical hormone release to drive the physical sensation of fullness.
It actively supports the ongoing practice of healthy eating.
Yes. And by keeping you profoundly full and hormonally balanced all day, it ultimately aids in the long-term goal of weight loss without ever once asking you to focus on restriction.
It really is a masterclass in functional simplicity. And, it leaves you with a final thought to mull over on your own today.
I'd love to hear it.
The source material repeats this exact formula dozens of times, treating it as the ultimate unquestionable foundation for a morning routine. It leaves you to wonder if the incredibly complex, often emotionally fraught goal of healthy eating and weight loss can be distilled into such a simple, unvarying biological blueprint. What other chaotic, decision-heavy routines in your life could be completely transformed by finding your own simple, repeating formula?
Oh, wow. That is a brilliant question to leave off on. Where else are we overcomplicating things that biology or simple repetition could just solve for us?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this highly unique deep dive today. Keep questioning, keep looking for the deeper scientific meaning, even in the most repetitive or bizarre places. And most importantly, keep seeking out those aha moments. We'll be right here waiting to unpack the next one with you.